Chapter 22. Now, in all good books, the sandwiches arrive in chapter 22. Go and check all the other books you own or borrow, and if they don't mention sandwiches in this chapter, you should go back to the bookshop or the library and complain. Right. Anyway, the captain was saying that if you made 200 life-size models of Petit Monsieur Poonlop out of hard English cheese and stood them on top of each other, and then stood the real Mr. Poonlop on top, he would be level with the top of the Eiffel Tower. As he told them this, a man in a yellow suit walked by, throwing a paper bag to each passenger. Mr. Poonlop opened his. It contained a large sandwich in a long French baguette, a small bottle, and a little chocolate animal that looked like a reindeer. Nervously, Mr. Poonlop asked the people in front of him what everything was. "Well, monsieur," they both said in chorus, "the baguette, it contains the pieces of fish, the piece of soft French cheese, and the spread of apricots, with a little mustard and tomato ketchup to make it even crazier. The drink, he is made from bananas and old socks, and tastes like the dishwater." Mr. Poonlop felt a bit sick. He didn't want to ask about the chocolate animal, but the man with the red nose told him anyway. "The animal is a chocolate mousse. The pudding man, he wants to make a nice creamy pudding called a chocolat mousse, but he cannot spell the words properly, so he make this. But it is very nice chocolate." Mr. Poonlop was relieved to hear that. Even so, he was too hungry to be satisfied with a small chocolate animal. Even so, he didn't fancy a sandwich of fish, cheese and jam, even with mustard and ketchup. Nor did he want a drink of banana-flavoured dishwater. So while nobody was watching, I crossed out the sandwich and the drink and wrote him some nicer ones. His favourites, in fact, a ham and custard sandwich and a bottle of Furtleberry juice. Now, if you've never tried Furtleberry juice, you're missing a treat. In fact, it's so special, people try to keep it a secret. They might even tell you, "I made it up just to fool you." Don't listen to them. If you can't see it in the shops or in cafes, all you have to do is go to the counter and shout, "I want some Furtleberry juice, please," very loud 3 times. Then the law says they must give you a bucket full of it and a straw. A bendy straw. Mr. Poonlop asked if I could get back to the story now, because the boat was turning round a funny long island which the captain said was called the Alley of the Signs, even though he couldn't see any signs on it. Only a small model of the Statue of Liberty, who, the captain insisted, was called Denise, and when he crashed into her he said, "Pardon, mademoiselle." I started to explain that it was really called the Allée des Singes, which meant the Alley of Swans, but Mr. Poonlop said he was more worried about getting back in time for the coach of French dairy farmers, so he could get home to plan his 7th holiday. So while he ate his sandwich and his very tasty mousse, all washed down with very good Furtleberry juice, I helped the captain drive the boat faster and straighter to the next chapter. Chapter 23. So little Mr. Poonlop arrived back at the island quite quickly. In fact, the captain had to tell the passengers everything rather quickly in 3 languages, so Mr. Poonlop now knew that there was an old railway station on one side of the river and a big loo on the other, both full of famous paintings by the captain's mother. But Mr. Poonlop was distracted from the commentary by the sight of someone bouncing along the riverbank on a pogo stick. Sure enough, when he got off the boat, Fleur de Mal was there to meet him. He wondered why she was still on the pogo stick. "You are probably wondering why I am still on the pogo stick," she said. "It is because I enjoy it so much. Your author, he says I can keep it. It is very good exercise and great fun." "I am sorry you have been with the insane tours. I should have warned you they are a bit strange. You should have gone on the gâteau bateau, because with them you get the free cake." "But I am here with the bad news," she said, after Mr. Poonlop told her he'd been on an interesting trip anyway, and now knew much more about Paris, including exactly how many kangaroos lived on the island of St. Louis. In fact, Mr. Poonlop was starting to get used to things going wrong, so he didn't sound too worried when he asked what the bad news was this time. "I am glad you do not sound too worried, Mr. Poonlop," said Fleur, "but I am afraid you will not go home today. I am also afraid of snakes with big fangs that live in my toilet, but this is not a problem for you. For you, a toy bird is a problem." "A toy bird?" said Mr. Poonlop in surprise. "Pour moi," he added in French. "A problem?" he gasped. In the very nice cafe I'd just written around him. I added a nice jug of hot chocolate to calm him down so Fleur could explain. Oh yes, perhaps I should write some for Fleur too. One more jug of chocolate, extra hot milk and a cup, in fact. Fleur was surprised to see them, but she poured herself a cup before beginning to unfold her sad story and a happy map. "On this map you can see where the coaches come in to collect French people to laugh at other countries," she said. "For instance, the wine growers like to go to Germany and the pop singers to Belgium. Only the people who design cars have nowhere to go. As you know, a party of French dairy farmers was due to go today to laugh at your cheeses, especially the ones in your supermarkets." Mr. Poonlop said he remembered. He was still too polite to say that he did not think it was a nice thing to do. He wanted to know why he could not go home to plan his 7th holiday yet. And most of all, he didn't want me to start going on about how good English cheese can be, or how boring some mass-produced French. So I won't. "Yesterday," said Fleur, when she was sure I'd be quiet, "the farmers are meeting at a pavement cafe in the Champs-Élysées, which is the main street of Paris. They are drinking and talking happily, but suddenly one of them is hit on the back of the head. He thinks it is the farmer behind him. He thinks this man is jealous of his cheese. So he turns round and the man just smiles at him. The first farmer thinks this is very rude, so he punches the other man on the nose. This upsets the farmer because he has done nothing. He thinks it is very rude to be hit on the nose for nothing, only a friendly smile. He thinks the man must be jealous of his cheese. So he hits the first farmer over the head with a wine bottle. An empty wine bottle, of course. The first farmer's friends, they think this is not very nice, and the second farmer's friends are also unhappy to see their colleague punched in the nose, so they all start to hit each other with the fists, the bottles, the chairs, and the waiters. Mr. Poonlop asked Fleur if she knew how the fight had really started. She told him that an English tourist had seen what happened. A toy bird had flown down from the direction of the Eiffel Tower and hit the first farmer on the back of the head. "Stop, stop!" shouted the Englishman. "He did not hit you. It was only this toy bird." But the farmers did not understand English, so one of them thought the Englishman was trying to cause more trouble because he was ashamed of his own cheese and poked him in the eye with a baguette. Mr. Poonlop didn't like the sound of this. "I don't like the sound of this," he said. "I wonder if the bird was the one I dropped off the Eiffel Tower." "I do not know," said Fleur. "We have it in the office if you wish to see, but for you the problem now is that the dairy farmers are not going to England today." "Oh dear," said Mr. Poonlop. "Is anybody badly hurt?" "No, not really. The Englishman has had all the crumbs removed from his eye. Some of the farmers are a little bit bruised, but they are all friends now. Only a few of them needed to go home and lie down or have a mug of hot chocolate. But they have postponed their visit to England until the autumn. Until then, they will just laugh at pictures of English cheese in magazines." I told Mr. Poonlop I thought this served them right for wanting to laugh at other people's cheese, but he thought I was being unfair, especially as some of them had probably got quite bad headaches by now, and he was thinking he would never get home to start planning his 7th holiday, and that maybe this was all my fault. But if he hadn't gone up the Eiffel Tower and dropped the bird when I wasn't even with him, it wouldn't have happened. So it can't be my fault. Can it? "What can I do now?" he asked Fleur. "Do not worry, Monsieur Poonlop," she replied. "We have a plan for you. First, you will start a new chapter." And I'll have a drink of Fertleberry juice. Chapter 24. Then we will present you with this special token for the train that goes beneath the sea to England. You will get a special first-class seat with free drinks and sandwiches, and a free journey from London to your town. Mr. Poonlop was very grateful and asked Fleur what time the train left Paris. He was scared he might miss it or that the wheels would fall off for some reason. "Do not be scared that you might miss the train," said Fleur, "or that the wheels would fall off for a silly reason. That is why your ticket is so special. You can turn up at the station of the Paris North at any time tomorrow, and you will have a seat on the next train to England. There is one every hour, and tonight we have arranged a nice hotel for you on this island." "But if the train is full," began Mr. Poonlop, sure that things would keep going wrong. "Do not be so sure that things will keep going wrong, Monsieur Poonlop," said Fleur. "Your author has promised that there will be a seat for you. But best of all, you can take your time to get there, see more of Paris if you wish, and all your meals tonight and tomorrow will be paid for by Tregator Trips. You are only here because you are such a nice little man, and tomorrow we want to make everything nice for you. And of course, we hope you will consider Tregator Trips when you are planning your 7th holiday." Mr. Poonlop hardly knew what to say, and I hardly knew what to write, so he just said he was very grateful and even sorry to have caused Fleur any trouble, not to mention the French dairy farmers. Fleur didn't mention them. Instead, she asked if there was anything else he might wish to see, but Mr. Poonlop said he would like to get home as soon as he could. All the same, he was glad there was no need to hurry. "Perhaps I might suggest that tomorrow you go to the station on the number 47 bus," said Fleur, pointing across the river. "It leaves from just over the bridge there. You can see a little more of our city through the windows, and you cannot miss your stop because it is finishing at the station. Then there are many signs to the train for England, so your author does not have to put up any extra ones." Mr. Poonlop felt very relieved at all this. He really wanted to get home to have a good rest and some hot buttered toast. Fleur showed him to his new hotel. Some people find goodbyes difficult or embarrassing, especially Mr. Poonlop when French people kept kissing him. He's quite a shy little man, so I won't write about this one. Mr. Poonlop watched Fleur de Malle bounce off across the bridge on her pogo stick and went back into the hotel.